Welcome, everyone. This is part 7, our second part of part 7. So without any further ado, we're going to have our opening prayer. Thank you so much.
This is a prayer for humanity. O God, O Thou who hast cast Thy splendor over the luminous realities of men, shedding upon them the resplendent lights of knowledge and guidance, and hast chosen them out of all created things for this supernal grace, and hast caused them to encompass all things, to understand their inmost essence, and to disclose their mysteries, bringing them forth out of darkness into the visible world. He verily showeth his special mercy to whomsoever he will. O Lord, help thou thy loved ones to acquire knowledge and the sciences and arts, and to unravel the secrets that are treasured up in the inmost reality of all created beings. Make them to hear the hidden truths that are written and embedded in the heart of all that is. Make them to be ensigns of guidance amongst all creatures, and piercing rays of the mind shedding forth their light in this, the first life. Make them to be leaders unto thee, guides unto thy path, runners urging men on to thy kingdom. Thou verily art the powerful, the protector, the potent, the defender, the mighty, the most generous. Abdu'l-Baha.
Excellent. So wonderful to see you all here. Okay, so let us pick up back where we were last week. And as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. So good to see you, Miss Donna. Pat, really happy to see everyone here today. Zamrui John, Farzad John. Oh, is Miss Mary McGregor. So happy to see you. Okay, let us, if you have any questions, don't hesitate, okay? You can always email me. And if I said something not right or you have a question, I'm always here for you guys, okay? Let us resume where we were last week, okay? And our dear Don is joining us. Okay, let me full screen this. Oh, there. Okay. So as you recall, oh, and last point is if you're not speaking at the point, remember to watch your mics to keep them all muted. And that's it. I don't have any other, as they say, announcements. Okay, so last week, we were talking about this building a framework for nascent institutions. This is in the long paragraph 17. And so it was going through what other community can, the beloved guardian over 11 times in these rhetorical questions, praising the North American Baha'i community, and what other community has achieved this? And it was just so uplifting to read this. And then in our last part, we went through the construction of the Baha'i House of Worship. And that was pretty cool and beautiful to see. All the different stages from the point where His Holiness Abdu'l-Baha in his tablet in, I believe, 1903, he approved it. And then we read that tablet, and then all the way up to 1953, 50 years from the time of his, acceptance till time. Finally, we even saw the video of it being inaugurated, and now, just because it's pretty cool to see, I have one more video to show you on, it's a short video on the history per se of the construction of the Baha'i House of Worship. And then we'll be getting into securing the allegiance of royalty. And I hope everyone has their Advent of Divine Justice book handy. So this is coming up. We're still in paragraph 17, and we'll be entering into the what other. It says, what other community? This is at the bottom of page 12, if this is your book right here. It says, what other community can justifiably lay claim to have succeeded through the unsupported effort of one of its humble members in securing the spontaneous allegiance of royalty to its cause, and in winning such marvelous and written testimonies to its truth? So that's what we're going to get into today, as well as finishing up part 17 and 18, paragraph 17 and 18. Okay, so that is per se the interlude that I'm going to present to you today. And so let me jump to where we were. So we saw all of this in part 7a. Now we're going to go to our next video. Okay, this is still on the house of worship. Donnie, welcome aboard. Nice to see you. Okay, everyone ready?
One can say that the Baha'i community built this house of worship, but it would be equally true to say that this temple built the Baha'i community. In the early part of the 20th century, there were fewer than 1,000 Baha'is in North America. Abdul Baha, who was the son of the founder of the Baha'i faith, and at the time was still a prisoner in the Middle East, he approved the project. And immediately, Baha'is were faced with the challenge, well, of how do we organize according to Baha'i principles? So for example, we had this principle of the equality of men and women. And of course, this was in the early part of the 20th century. Women didn't have the right to vote. They were largely excluded from public affairs. And from the very beginning, the Baha'i community challenged that notion. And women actually became leaders in the construction of this temple. A number of architects submitted their concepts. And it was interesting that a lot of those initial designs reflected either sort of an Eastern look and feel or more of a Western or Christian look and feel for this temple. But there was one design that was put forward by a French-Canadian architect by the name of Louis Bourgeois. He had had this vision that his mission in life would be to build a temple of unity for all of humanity. And he worked for, they say, 7 or 8 years. And he's created a new kind of language of religious architecture that reflects a concept of unity of religion. When people see a Baha'i house of worship in the middle of the North American continent here in Chicago, maybe the first assumption is that it was built by an immigrant community, that these were Iranians that came and built this temple. And that's not the case at all. The builders of this house of worship were North American Baha'is of all walks of life. The temple project took almost 50 years, from the time it was first conceived to the time it was open to public worship in 1953. And if you think about those years in history and how tumultuous they were, there were 2 world wars, there was the Great Depression, but it became a global project for the Baha'is. And I think that's why the spirit of this place is so powerful.
I hope you enjoyed that. That was pretty great video on the history. So moving on, let me...
May I ask you one question here?
Please.
From the video, is this Louis Bourgeois is the architect? Is he a Baha'i or non-Baha'i?
Yes, good question. He was a Baha'i. I'll research that question, but in one place I saw that he was a Baha'i, but I'm going to research and come back to you. If anyone knows for a fact, please speak up.
And who was the narrator?
I don't want to misspeak. To my eyes, it looked like Steve Sarowitz, but it may not be. Any other questions? Okay, excellent. Moving on. So now we're going into the next what other community line. Okay, excellent. It says Queen Marie was born in Kent, England. Her mother was the only surviving daughter of Tsar Alexander II of Russia, who had received a special tablet from Baha'u'llah. And Queen Marie married Crown Princess Ferdinand I of Romania in 1893 and reigned with him from 1914 to 1927, and then as Queen Dowager from 1927 to 1938. And here's one of those beautiful portraits, painted portraits of Queen Marie of Romania. And here's a family portrait. There's King Ferdinand I in the back, Queen Marie of Romania in the front, and Princess Ileana is off to the right. So one of the questions asked by the beloved guardian in paragraph 17 is, what other community can justifiably lay claim to have succeeded through the unsupported efforts of one of its humble members? I love that. In securing the spontaneous allegiance of royalty to its cause, and in winning such marvelous and written testimonies to its truth. So the royalty referred to is Queen Marie of Romania. And one of its humble members is a reference to Martha Root, the first American Baha'i who arose to teach the faith after meeting Abdu'l-Baha in 1911 and 1912. Martha Root left the United States in January of 1915 on her first travel teaching trip to Europe. She responded to the call of Abdu'l-Baha in the tablets of the Divine Plan, and in the same year they were unveiled in the United States, 1919, and embarked in the first of her world journeys, which were to span a total period of 20 years.
Excuse me.
Yes, please, Don.
Wikipedia says, by the winter of 1906, Bourgeois and his wife had joined the Baha'i faith.
1926, yes.
1906.
Queen Marie of Romania?
Louis Bourgeois.
Oh, excellent. Yes, yes. I thought he was a Baha'i. Excellent. Yes, 1906. Yes. Thank you so much, Don.
You're welcome.
Yes, very, very good. I appreciate that. So, so there we are. So this is someone, dear friends, is Martha Root, that we should all study her life. Is another great soul that we need to read the book on Martha Root and study who she was. Apart from the fact that she is the greatest exemplars of teaching that we have. She is an itinerant teacher, per se, second only to His Holiness Abdu'l-Baha in teaching. And so we really need to learn not only her style, but learn from her example of valor, courage, dedication, humility, really, and study as much about who she was and what she did for the cause. And these are souls that we should pray to and ask for assistance of, is Martha Root. Okay. So this is, if you recall, I sent you a document and I hope each one of you are reading your ancillary documents. So this was where Martha Root met with the Queen Marie of Romania. And in that document that I sent to you, and that was Martha Root's recording of her encounter with Queen Marie of Romania. This is the place that she, in her fourth meeting with Queen Marie of Romania, was at Tenha Yuva and it is called A Solitary Nest. It's the secluded palace of the royal family in the Baltic, Romania on the Black Sea. This is where Martha Root visited Queen Marie of Romania in her 4th visit, and the detailed account was there in that account that I sent to each one of you. And also I sent that video of what it looks like in 2019. It's a very beautiful palace and tourist site now. So this is a picture of Queen Marie of Romania, and at the bottom you see to Miss Ruth Marie. So she sent a picture of herself and signed it. So after the visits of Martha Root with Queen Marie of Romania, Queen Marie sent open letters to Canadian and American newspapers and publicly proclaimed her support for the faith. Her letter in the Toronto Star, 4th of May, 1926 reads, "It is a wondrous message that Baha'u'llah and his son Abdul Baha have given us. Love, the mainspring of every energy, tolerance towards each other, desire of understanding each other, knowing each other, helping each other, forgiving each other. It is Christ's message taken up anew, in the same words almost, but adapted to the 1,000 years and more difference that lies between the year 1 and today. If ever the name of Baha'u'llah or Abdul Baha comes to your attention, do not put their writings from you. Search out their books and let their glorious, peace-bringing, love-creating words and lessons sink into your hearts as they have into mine. Seek them and be the happier." And so this was published, dear friends, in the Baha'i World, Volume 2, page 174. And here is a picture of Queen Marie of Romania. So, as I wanted to be methodical in my presentation to all of you, so what did I do? I found the actual article. So this is the actual article that she sent to the papers, and I transcribed it to your right. And so I'm going to ask Kayvon John, as you just arrived, and you're to read this one on the right. Alava, so good to see you.
Alava, friends. An American woman brought me the other day a book. I spelled it with a capital letter because it is glorious book of love and goodness, strength and beauty.
Pause right there, Kayvon John. So what the book that she's talking about is Baha'u'llah and the New Era. So this is Esselman's masterpiece. So this is the book that Martha Root brought to Queen Marie of Romania. Okay, thank you so much, Karen.
Sure. Your countrywoman gave it to me because she had learned it was in grief and sadness and wanted to help. She put it into my hands saying, "You seem to live up to his teachings." And when I opened the book, I saw it was the word of Abdul Baha, prophet of love and kindness, and of his father, the great teacher of international goodwill and understanding of a religion which links all creeds. The writings are a great cry toward peace, reaching beyond all limits of frontier, above all dissension about rights and dogmas. It is a religion based upon the inner spirit of God, upon that great, not to be overcome variety that God is love, meaning just that. It teaches that all hatreds, intrigues, suspicions, evil words, all aggressive patriotism, even are outside the one essential law of God, and that special beliefs are but to surface things, whereas the heart that beats with divine love knows no tribe nor race. It is a wondrous message that Baha'u'llah and his son Abdul Baha have given us. They have not set it up aggressively, knowing that the germ of eternal truth, which lies at its core, cannot take root and spread. There is only one great verity in it, love, the mainspring of every energy, tolerance towards each other, knowing each other, helping each other, forgiving each other. It is Christ's message taken up anew, in the same words almost, but adapted to the 1,000 years and more different that lies between the year one and today. No man could fail to be better because of this book. I commend it to you all. If ever the name of Baha'u'llah or Abdul Baha came to your attention, do not put their writings from you. Search out their books and let their glorious, peace-bringing, love-creating words and lessons sink into your hearts as they have into mine. One's busy days seem too full for religion, or one may have religion that satisfies. But the teachings of these gentlemen, the gentle, wise, and kindly men, are compatible with all religions and with no religion. Seek them and be the happier. It's a little bit small for my eyes. Sorry, I had to. And it says that, oh, okay, that's the source, the Cincinnati Enquirer, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kevanjan. Thank you. Very well read.
Thank you.
So this is, as you see, from Queen Marie of Romania. This was her tribute after meeting Martha Root and reading Baha'u'llah and the New Era. And she immediately wrote this tribute, and it was published. And this one was published in the Cincinnati Enquirer, May 4th, 1926. And you can see the article right there.
Hey, Ehsan, is she declared or she just proclaimed?
That is a great question. She did declare, yes, and you're going to see this. She several different places proclaimed her faith. Yes, she did. Yes, she did declare her faith. Yes, great question, Tesfat.
All right, thank
you. Okay. So this is another place. This is I'll read this one. So you can see on the left, it's what it says, the Baha'i teaching. This is in her own handwriting. And so I transcribed it to the right because it's a little hard with the cursiveness. So it says, the Baha'i teaching, such is the Queen's written testimony, brings peace and understanding. It is like a wide embrace gathering together all those who have long searched for words of hope. It accepts all great prophets gone before. It destroys no other creeds and leaves all doors open. Saddened by the continual strife amongst believers of many confessions and wearied of their intolerance towards each other, I discovered in the Baha'i teaching the real spirit of Christ, so often denied and misunderstood. Unity instead of strife, hope instead of condemnation, love instead of hate, and a great reassurance for all men. And this was from the Beloved Guardian in the World Order of Baha'u'llah, page 93. That was the words of the Beloved Guardian. And that is the actual letter that was sent to the Beloved Guardian, and he put that into the World Order of Baha'u'llah right there. Okay. So Queen Marie of Romania, this is her cover page of Time magazine. She was quite notable and very, very, very popular queen during her reign. So this is Time cover August 4th, 1924. She was not only popular in Romania, she was also popular in many countries of the world, including United States. And one of the things that she did was, as you saw, she does this Queen's Council. And this is another Queen's Council, and she was almost like as famous as modern times, such as Oprah, where, you know, every week she would write a column, and in these columns she would not give advice. And I read, I don't know how many before I was giving this presentation. I read at least 40 of these columns, and there's such wonderful advice. And I could not obviously share all of them in this presentation to you, but I'm sharing the ones that I came across where she points out and attributes the Baha'i faith. And this is another one where she, at the bottom left, you see, it says, the bottom left, it says, I like the king who can give an opinion as to how artichokes should be planted, or in which country the best system of milking has been installed, or what were the laws of the Medes and the Persians. I like the rich lady who knows where is the grave of Abdul Baha, as well as where one can buy the best silk stockings of what was the finest sweet pea grown during the year. So here she's talking about being a diverse queen, knowing where the ordinary things and the things in the world are, as well as knowing where things are of wealth. And so this is, she even mentions Abdul Baha here in this sense. So, and she does this over and over again in different articles and makes the populace become familiar with the name of Abdul Baha. Here it is again. This is another one. But this one, she doesn't mention the faith directly, but this is, if you read Baha'u'llah and the New Era, this is almost a paraphrase of a section on God. So here she talks, what is God? And it's such a beautiful tribute and understanding of the station of God. It says, many people write in answer to my little talks to ask if I will not one day speak of this or that, any subject that interests them. I cannot but be pleased at these requests because it is a proof that I am really being read and listened to. It inspires me with new courage to go on. Amongst others, this question has come. Will you write what your idea is of God? Now, how shall I find words for this? Dare I even try to put into words what I so deeply feel? When I set out upon this venture of sending out a daily thought, it was in a spirit of friend help, of love, with a desire to doing any little best to help toward a better understanding with all men. Certainly, I had no idea of preaching or pretending to know more than others or being a moralizer. I have lived my life as best as I could, as bravely as I could. She goes on. I will send the article to you, but she is pouring her heart out and explaining who God is in her own words. Unknowable in his essence is her references. Really parallels who God is in that sense in the understanding also of the faith. So what happens is in 1930, it becomes quite clear and known that she has accepted the faith. So here, and so many articles have been written and that she has converted to the faith. And this is just one of them I found that I'm showing you. There's another one I'll show you. It says, Maria Romania, convert of Persian cult, priest asserts. And so this is February 24th, 1930. It says, Queen Maria of Romania has become a qualified adherent of Baha'ism, according to the high priest of that faith, Shoghi Effendi, grandson of Abdul Baha, who founded it. Baha'ism or Babiism is a modern pantheistical religion founded in Persia and with a mixture of Christian, Jewish, Mohammedan, and Parsi elements. He declares Marie was converted to Baha'ism through efforts of American believers, notably Miss Martha Root. Shoghi claims more than 1 million adherents, including 60,000 converted Jews. There are 10,000 Baha'is in the United States, he says. So that's just one of the articles. Here's another one. This is in the Monroe News Star, Monroe, Louisiana. So it says Baha'i sect formed by Persian prophet claims 10,000 in the US. And it says Queen Marie of Romania and her daughter Ileana are the queen and the princess for whom the hosts of the supreme concourse of the Baha'i religion have long been waiting. The United Press learned today from the New York headquarters of the cult public announcement of the fact the Romanian queen has become an adherent of Baha'ism founded some 80 years ago in Persia by the Prophet Baha'u'llah was made in Palestine this week. The queen, after her Egyptian tour, will make a pilgrimage to Haifa in Palestine, seat of the religion. Princess Ileana, it is understood, will accompany her. Queen Marie and Princess Ileana announced their intention of visiting Haifa and paying homage to the high priests of Baha'ism some months ago, according to an article which appears in the February issue of the Baha'i magazine published at Washington. The Queen's abiding interest in the cult dates back as far as 1926, when she wrote several letters on the subject to newspapers in the United States and Canada. These letters are reproduced in the Baha'i World, a yearbook published in New York. Queen Marie's complete faith in the principles of Baha'ism is evident in these letters, and the manner in which Baha'ism regards her deep interest in its tenets is reflected in the magazine article, which is in the form of an interview with Marie and Ileana. Martha Root, an American follower of Baha'ism, is author of the interview. And there was, some more. But that is really the gist of it, dear friends. So that's wanted to share with you those articles from showing her open and public proclamation. So King Ferdinand died on the 20th of July 1927, and Martha Root had her second audience with the Queen on the 9th of October 1927, and she was told that the Queen and her daughter, Princess Ileana, had been reading the Kitab-i-Iran and learning about life after death. And there's a picture of Queen Marie of Romania and Princess Ileana. And some more pictures of, this is the Queen Marie of Romania. And some more pictures of her. And on the left, this is Princess Ileana. And to the right is Queen Marie of Romania. And to the left is Princess Ileana of Romania. And this is the costume, the dress of Romania, the traditional costume of Romania. And they were often wearing these attire instead of wearing the regal and royal outfits, as they wanted to be part of the people. They really, really treasured the Romanian heritage. And so the only times they wore these regal outfits was for pictures, but they more often were wearing their Romanian attire. So Queen Marie and her daughter Ileana planned to visit the Baha'i holy places as part of a trip to the Near East in anticipation of receiving the guests the house of Abdul Baha was preparing. In March of 1930, the beloved guardian Shohreh Effendi sent a formal invitation to the Queen to visit the world center of the faith. As there was no response to the invitation, the beloved guardian sent another cable on the 26th of March to her hotel in Cairo. 2 days later came the response from the Romanian minister in Cairo. Her Majesty regrets that not passing through Palestine, she will not be able to visit you. And this was a source of great disappointment to the Queen and the Holy Family. And we see in this picture, this is them when they were visiting Egypt. So here you can see a picture. This is Queen Marie together with left to right, George Reisner, Miss Mary Reisner, Hans Martin Hondrich, and Queen Marie's youngest daughter, Princess Ileana. And as mentioned, it was Princess Ileana and Queen Marie of Romania that were really, Queen Marie of Romania had openly proclaimed her faith, and Princess Ileana was very close to the faith and studying it and open. And in the article that Martha Root presented, it was Princess Ileana was very forthcoming to the faith. So this is one more I should present. This is the Baha'i teaching. This is from Queen Marie of Romania. The Baha'i teaching brings peace and understanding. It is like a wide embrace gathering together all those who have long searched for words of hope. It accepts all great prophets gone before. It destroys no other creeds and leaves all doors open. Saddened by the continual strife amongst believers of many confessions and wearied of their intolerance towards each other, I discovered in the Baha'i teaching the real spirit of Christ, so often denied and misunderstood. Unity instead of strife, hope instead of condemnation, love instead of hate, and a great reassurance for all men. So as mentioned, dear friends, she continued to write her Queen's Counsel, pouring out her daily advice and her columns to America in this called Queen's Counsel. And in this Queen's Counsel, she wrote her dream of visiting North America. How much, and this is in 1926. So this is the same year that she learned of the faith, 1926. She wrote this column, and you'll get the whole presentation after, so I'm not going to read this whole column, but she wrote of her desire to visit America. And so I'm going to show you actually Queen Marie of visiting North America. So enjoy.
No sound.
This was in the time before sound, so yeah.
Castle Brown, Romania, home of Queen Mary, by whom our cameraman was graciously accorded this intimate camera interview. Traveller, scholar, and stateswoman, Queen Mary, as the world knows, is the mother of the widowed Queen of Yugoslavia. Amidst the trials and sorrows of an ever-changing world, the Queen seeks peace and happiness in the beautiful gardens of this 500-years-old castle. During her stay here, Queen Mary generally adopts the picturesque national costume, which somehow gives added dignity to an already dignified personality. Here are her two favorite horses, Stan and Bran, whom she treats with all the affection of a true horse lover. In her efforts to promote the welfare of her country, Queen Mary became an international figure. Yet never does she look more national than in her own home. And particularly in the nearby village which she regularly visits. In the market, she shops amongst the peasants with pleasant ease and happy familiarity. However they think of Mary the Queen, they never forget Mary the Mother. Indeed, it's grandmother now, and it's with such delightful scenes as this that she will always be remembered.
Hope you guys enjoyed that, because it gives a flavor of Queen Marie of Romania, a bit of her personality, her in what I saw in that video, the last one, it was like how she was similar to how the term that they used for Baha'u'llah, the father of the poor, in that sense that how much she wanted to be, even though she had great wealth, but she wanted to be with the people and dress like the commoners in the sense of the people, and wanted to be always with them in that sense. And so
Essenjan, her granddaughter visited England and Scotland in the late 70s. I believe it was 76 or 77. And it was a good reception for her by the Baha'is of United Kingdom. So from that, I remember that she still was very fond of the faith because of her mother, Ilyana, as well as, of course, the grandmother, Queen Mary. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Doctor. Yes, so that was our section on securing the allegiance of royalty. So moving on, dear friends.
I appreciate you, man, to bring you this one to our attention. It's so hard work to find these documents.
Oh, very good, Tesfa. I'm happy you're here with us. I mean,
thank you.
Okay, so moving on. Now, with our next extract, let's go back to paragraph 17. It says, I'm just going to read it from the screen. It's so much easier. It says, another major achievement of the North American Baha'i community at this time, as mentioned by the beloved guardian in paragraph 17, was the development of Baha'i schools throughout the continent. He raises this point by asking, what other community has shown the foresight, the organizing ability, the enthusiastic eagerness that have been responsible for the establishment and multiplication throughout its territory of those initial schools? And 3 Baha'i schools were established in the United States by 1938, Greenacre Baha'i School, Bosch Baha'i School, and Llewellyn Baha'i School. And so there were 3 Baha'i schools at that point in time. And on the right, you can see Greenacre Baha'i School. Okay. So let's have a reader. We haven't had any readers apart from myself. Let's have, how about Miss Deborah? We haven't heard from you in a little while. Let's hear from you. Go for it. You have the floor.
Referred to as the most important institution of its kind in the world by beloved guardian, Green Acre occupies a unique place in history. Built in 1890, Green Acre originally served as the Elliott Hotel. Sarah Farmer conceived Green Acre as a gathering place where minds, souls, and bodies would be refreshed. After meeting with participants in the Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893, she pursued the opportunity for Green Acre to become a universal platform for the comparative study of religions, and in 1894 opened Green Acre with the raising of the world's first known peace flag. Sarah had chosen the theme of peace for Green Acre because she believed it represented a call to all humanity, as well as the message brought by its prophet.
Excellent. Thank you, Miss Deborah. What a lady this Sarah Farmer was, truly, raising the banner of peace. The first known banner of peace ever known was this in Green Acre, and also destined to be a future university is Green Acre. So our next reader, please, Miss Zamruhi, go please, you have the floor.
In 1899, Sarah Farmer had the privilege of being in the presence of Abdu'l-Baha in the Holy Land and found complete fulfillment of her ideas of social reform in the Baha'i teachings. She returned to America with a vision that Green Acre would become a center for truth, peace, and justice. From 1900 to 1909, Green Acre provided a focal center for the development of the early Baha'i community, and with Sarah's initiative, became the first Baha'i summer school. Abdu'l-Baha visited in 1912, conferring upon Green Acre another unique distinction as the only school imbued with the spirit of his presence.
Thank you, thank you. Very, very well read. Okay, and there's a picture of Miss Sarah Farmer with His Holiness Abdu'l-Baha, 1912. Moving on. Okay. And I didn't go into the other schools because sure, they're awesome in each of their own rights, but come on, Green Acre is really, you know, is Green Acre. Okay, so international pioneering. So this is the next question in paragraph 17, which the beloved guardian talks about. He said, you know, so we finished what other community, we finished the one on allegiance. Then he talks about what other community has shown the foresight. We talked an establishment of those initial schools. We did that. Here, what other community has produced pioneers combining to such a degree the essential qualities of audacity, of consecration, of tenacity, of self-renunciation and unstinted devotion that have prompted them to abandon their homes and forsake their all and scatter over the surface of the globe and hoist in its uttermost corners the triumphant banner of Baha'u'llah. What other community? Makes so proud of America. I mean, great. What an incredible community. So this is the question that we're going to be addressing in this one. So the beloved guardian praises the audacity, the consecration, tenacity. And if our dear Dawn is with us, could you please look up some of these great words? Audacity, consecration, tenacity, self-renunciation. What does unstinted mean? What is it in regards to devotion? So those are some words for you to look up, our dear Dawn. So One of these shining lights was an early American pioneer, Agnes Baldwin Alexander. So your homework assignment is to go read some more on who Agnes Alexander is, okay? So who is this great lady, Agnes Alexander? So I'll also send you stuff, you know, that you could read also, but I appreciate if you also do your own researches, find out who she was, because what a lady. And at the request of Baha'u'llah's eldest son, Abdul Baha, Miss Alexander pioneered the Baha'i faith in Japan in 1914. In 1921, she became the first to introduce the new gospel in Korea. Except for extended vacations in Hawaii, which is really obligatory, we gotta go to Hawaii. So, except for going to Hawaii, Agnes spent over 23 years in Japan. 23 years. In 1957, the beloved guardian Shohei Effendi appointed Agnes Alexander a hand of the cause of God. And so you can see what a lovely lady she was, young. That's really when she started. And then at the bottom, this is in the latter years of her life. Gave her whole life, pioneering, serving the cause. So moving on. And this is beautiful Miss Martha Root. In the United States in 1919, Miss Martha Root was the first one to arise to the call of His Holiness Abdul Baha and embarked on her world travel teaching tours. And in the words of Shohei Effendi, Martha Root was the archetype of Baha'i itinerant teachers and the foremost hand raised by Baha'u'llah since Abdul Baha's passing, leading ambassadress of his faith and pride of Baha'i teachers, whether men or women in both the East and the West. Wow, what a lady, truly. I mean, I cannot stress and overly stress to study this lady's life, especially as we start getting into how to teach the cause. And the beloved guardians brings up this great lady again in Advent of Divine Justice, because truly she is an exemplaress on teaching. Okay.
Hey,
yes, please. Who's that?
This is Don. You wanted some definitions.
I love
Audacity.
it. Yes, please, go ahead.
Fearless daring, aggressive boldness or unmitigated effrontery. Consecration, a solemn commitment of your life or your time to some cherished purpose, such as to a service or a goal.
Uh-huh.
In religion, sanctification of something by setting it apart. Let's see, consecration. What was the other word? Wasn't it tenacity?
Unstinted.
Unstinted.
Yes.
Unrestrained.
Free.
Unstinted, very generous.
Very generous means unstinted. Is that right, Don?
Yes.
A very generous form of devotion of the North that she had, praising their audacity, the consecration, the level of devotion, tenacity, self-renunciation, giving up all their attachments, and a great deal of devotion, generous amount of devotion they had. So we talked about Miss Martha Root, and so I have another great little video to share with you. It's a short one and a rare treat that I discovered. And so I'm not going to tell you what it is till you see it.
For thy manifestation of love to mankind, O thou who art our life and love, guide thy servants to thy will, and make them rich in thee, and free from all filthy. O God, keep in thy oneness fire of our life, that it may burn away the thought of everything, safety. Reveal unto them, O God, thy most closest eternity, that thou hast ever been and will always be, and that there is no God save thee. Verily in thee will they find comfort and strength. Allah.
I thought that was pretty cool to find an actual recording of Martha Root. That's the only recording of her voice that I've come across. And so I wanted to share that with you. So in 1918, when Abdul Baha's tablets calling upon the American Baha'is to hasten to all parts of the world to spread the teachings came, Clara and John Henry Hyde Dunn spontaneously arose to serve, immediately deciding to respond by going to Australia, where they felt they could best serve. The beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi had great affection for Hyde Dunn, to whom he referred in God Passes By his history of the first century of the Baha'i faith as great-hearted and heroic. And Shoghi Effendi eulogized beloved Father Dunn as Australia's spiritual conqueror and observed in a cablegram that magnificent career, veteran warrior faith Baha'u'llah reflects purest luster world historic mission conferred American community by Abdul Baha. And in 1952, the beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi posthumously designated Hyde Dunn a hand of the cause of God, and on 29th of February 1952, Clara Dunn was among a contingent of 7 individuals appointed by Shoghi Effendi as hands of the cause of God. 2 incredible souls. Graham Hassel is an incredible Baha'i, has recorded and written on the Dunns, and there's a YouTube that he's talked at length on the Dunns. So I will send that to you also, okay? Also, I will cover the Dunns also in another section, another part in much further detail, because the Guardian also mentions them once again as great, because there's a whole section on great pioneers in Advent of Divine Justice. So international pioneering became more systematic in 1936, when the beloved Guardian sent a cable to the National Convention of the Baha'is of the United States and Canada, and summoned them for systematic action in realizing Abdul Baha's vision as revealed in the tablets of the Divine Plan. And so this is that National Convention where the beloved Guardian sent that letter in 1936. So let's have a reader. How about Miss Mary McGregor? Let's hear from you tonight.
The beloved Guardian took critical steps regarding the ownership of all Baha'i properties. Hand of the Cause of God, Hugo Giacherri writes, he, Shoghi Effendi, mentioned that after the reading of the will and testament of Abdul Baha, when he found himself appointed guardian of the cause of God, he told the assembled members of the whole family that he renounced then and there the ownership of any estate, possessions, and chattels that would be his rightful inheritance. Shoghi Effendi also arranged for all assets to be held in trust in the names of the donors of those assets and later registered in the name of incorporated national assemblies. And this is about the endowments of the Baha'i World Center.
Excellent. That's right. So this is our, as you recall, there was another question the beloved guardian says, and that question is, what other community? And so let's just go to that one. So we talked about the unstinted devotion. Well, let me pull up that. I'm just getting to that question. Who else but those same pioneers? We already got that. Translation. International institutions. So here we are. What other community can lay claim to have a decisive share in the worldwide efforts that have exerted for the safeguarding and the extension of the immediate surrounding of its holy shrines, as well as for the preliminary acquisition of the future sites of its international institutions at its world center? So these are the endowments. So that that the beloved guardian is talking about. Okay. So here it says in paragraph 17, the beloved guardian mentions the decisive share of the American Baha'i community in the acquisition in the immediate surroundings of the holy shrines and the preliminary purchase of land for future international institutions at the Baha'i World Center. For example, Amelia Collins, and we're going to have another entire section on her. What a lady. And again, this is another great lady that you should individually study. But I'll cover this lady at much greater length in another part. Is one of the hands of the cause of God, and she donated the entire sum required to purchase the land on Mount Carmel, overlooking the cave of Elijah, for the future Mashal Asqam of the Holy Land. And the beloved guardian Shoaib Effendi transferred the ownership of these properties to the Palestine branch of the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States as a legal entity registered in Palestine. So this is a way of protecting the endowments of the faith. This was how it was handled. Because if anything ever happened to the beloved guardian, God forbid, his life was always in perilous danger if you read Priceless Pearl. So nothing per se was ever in his name. He made sure that nothing was ever in his name. And also, if when he passed, there was no per se transference of property. It was all in the names of these institutions. Okay, endowments at the Baha'i World Center. This is, I believe, maybe our last slide on this one. So let us hear from let's hear Miss Karen. I have not heard from you today. Let's go first.
Okay. By the time of his passing, Shoghi Effendi had effected similar negotiations to register ownership of properties on Mount Carmel to the Israel branches of a total of 9 Baha'i assemblies around the world in recognition of their donations. Not only did this emphasize the international character of the faith, but it was also part of his policy of owning nothing himself. This touches on the question why the beloved guardian left no will and testament. On the one hand, he had no possessions to bequeath, while, on the other hand, he had no son to whom he could pass the office of the guardianship, and all the male descendants of Baha'u'llah had broken the covenant.
Excellent. Very, very well read. Thank you. Okay. So that was our section on endowments of the Baha'i World Center. So let us go into translation and publication. So this is also another one of those questions. What other community have achieved translation and publication? So let us hear from John Hockness. Nice to see you. So could you read this one?
Translation and publication of sacred writings. By 1938, Baha'u'llah in the New Era, Esselmont, was translated into 40 different languages and published in 33 languages. The Kitab-i Khan was published in 15 languages and translated to 8 other languages was underway. The Hidden Words of Baha'u'llah was published in 15 languages and translated into another 4 languages. Some Answered Questions of Abdu'l-Baha was published in 6 languages. Translation to 10 other languages was underway.
So I wanted to give you a feel of what this community is doing and really ramping up, getting all of these pivotal documents. Baha'u'llah New Era, according to the Beloved Guardian, is the textbook that all Baha'is should master as an introduction to the faith. It is the textbook for teaching the cause. And so this one is, I believe it's actually translated now into over 88 languages in the world. So Kitab-i Iran is the second most important book in the Revelation. Translated at a point in time, 15 languages. Hidden Words of Baha'u'llah, ethical book of the faith. The words are clothed in brevity, as the Beloved Guardian. Clothed in brevity. That is at that point translated 15 languages. Published in 15 languages and translated into 4. Some Answered Questions. That is a book I still have difficulty with. It's the questions. It's hard for me, at least, to understand some of those. I need my parents.
Listen, John, may I add a comment here? And that's,
please.
If any of the friends had ever tried to translate a single page,
yes,
okay, considering how many words we're coming across that we have to ask Don to translate, give us
right.
a
We didn't have a
definition.
Don back then.
It just shows,
right?
You want to translate, for example, Hidden Words, Arabic, Persian, into other languages, or Kitab-i Iran. These are incredible tasks, may take a lifetime to do just any of these. So the activities here are immense, incredible to appreciate how much work has gone into it. Thank you.
Excellent point. Thank you, Dr. Barrett. Yes, we have a Don, so it just makes life easier. And so if we're going to undertake translation, it would be just that much easier thanks to Don looking up the words and understanding and meaning. So moving on. Now we're going to talk about incorporation of, and this is another one of those questions, what other community has had the foresight? I don't want to paraphrase, but let me pull that one up. It was talking about what other community is at the Lake Clean credit. Oh, here it is. What other community can, to its eternal credit, claim to have been the first to frame its national and local constitutions, thereby laying down the fundamental lines of the twin charters designed to regulate the activities, define the functions, and safeguard the rights of its institutions? And so this is about incorporation of its assemblies. So one of the objectives pursued by the Beloved Guardian during his ministry was to ensure that the entities of the Baha'i administrative order were legally recognized in each country at both the national and the local levels, and that any assets were held by an endowment fund. So the 1926 to 27 National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States and Canada completed a task which, while pertaining to the outer and more material aspects of the cause, nevertheless, has a special significance for its spirit and inward sacred purpose. And this task consisted in creating a legal form which gives proper substance and substantial character to the administrative processes embodying the Baha'i teachings. The form adopted was that known as a voluntary trust, a species of corporation recognized under the common law and possessing a long and interesting history. And so this is on your right. That actually is the certificate of declaration of trust of the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States and Canada. So that actually is the document that legalized the incorporation of the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States and Canada. Okay, and that was obviously at the will of the beloved guardian to bring that into being. So further endowments. In the United States of America, the national endowments, let's have someone read this. How about Pat? I've not heard from you. Could you read this one, Pat? Are you with us, Pat? Let me see. You need
okay, here we go.
Good, there you are.
Yeah, let me try this. In the United States of America, the national endowments of the faith, already representing $1.75 million of assets and established through a series of indentures of trust created in 1928, 1929, 1935, 38, 39, 1941, and 1942 by the National Spiritual Assembly in that country, acting as trustees of the American Baha'i community, now include, is that now, present time now?
Now include, this is 1944 when this is God Passes By. So okay.
The land and structure of the Masuko Adkar, the caretaker's cottage in Wilmette, Illinois, the adjoining Hazrutul Quds Baha'i National Headquarters and its supplementary administrative office, the inn, the fellowship house, the Baha'i Hall, the arts and crafts studio, a farm, a number of cottages, several parcels of land, including the holding on Montsalvat, blessed by the footsteps of Abdul Baha in Green Acre in the state of Maine. The Bosch House, the Baha'i Hall, a fruit orchard, the Redwood Grove, a dormitory and ranch buildings in Geyserville, California. Wilhelm House, Evergreen Cabin, a pine grove and 7 lots with buildings at West Englewood, New Jersey, the scene of the memorable Unity Feast given by Abdul Baha in June 1912 to the Baha'is of the New York Metropolitan District. The Wilson House, blessed by his presence, and land in Malden, Massachusetts. Matthews House and ranch buildings in Pine Valley, Colorado. Land in Muskegon, Michigan, and a cemetery lot in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Excellent. Very well read, Pat. So these are endowments that our National Spiritual Assembly has in and is overseeing. The only over time, as you know, Geyserville is no longer Geyserville. It's now Bosch Baha'i Center of Learning. So a few changes here and there, but really it's for the greater part, the National Spiritual Assembly still has all of these endowments. So let us go into international intervention. So this is at the very end now of paragraph 17, where it says, what other community? Let me read this. Okay, here it is. And finally, what other community has had the privilege and been granted the means to succor the needy, plead the cause of the downtrodden, intervene so energetically for the safeguarding of Baha'i edifices and institutions in countries such as Persia, Egypt, Iraq, Russia, and Germany, where the various times its fellow believers have had to suffer the rigors of both religious and racial persecution. So international intervention. So finally, in paragraph 17, the beloved guardian praises this North American Baha'i community for their efforts in safeguarding the Baha'i faith, safeguarding, protecting it, and its institutions in countries where the community had been experiencing persecution. And the beloved guardian Shoghi Effendi mentions Persia, Egypt, Iraq, Russia, and Germany as some examples. And Miss Yuda Miller, just for your information, I'm going to send you some awesome tablets of Abdul Baha where he praises Germany, just for you, because you were my German in my audience tonight. So that's, I found quite a few where he really praises Germany.
Well, thank you very much.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so moving on. Let us hear from Tesfaya. Could you read this one?
Okay. Okay, international intervention. In God Passes By, Shoghi Effendi identifies some specific authorities who were approached by the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States and Canada. The Palestine High Commissioner for the restitution of the keys of the tomb of Baha'u'llah to its custodian, the Shah of Persia, on 4 occasions, pleading for justice on behalf of their persecuted brethren within his domains. The Persian Prime Minister, on that same subject, the head of Islam in Persia, appealing for harmony and peace among religions. King Faisal of Iraq, for the purpose of ensuring the security of the most great house in Baghdad. The Soviet authorities, on behalf of the Baha'i communities in Russia. The German authorities, regarding the disabilities suffered by their German brethren. The Egyptian government, concerning the emancipation of their co-religionists from the yoke of Islamic orthodoxy. Persian cabinet, in connection with the closing of Persian Baha'i educational institutions, the State Department of the United States government and the Turkish ambassador in Washington and the Turkish cabinet in Ankara in defense of the interests of the faith of Turkey.
Excellent, Tesla. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so I have this one last slide, and it says, Mr. Osborne, may I be excused? My brain is full. So I put that there for humor because that was a lot of information. I just wanted to restate before I close. You could see how many episodes of defense that this National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of the United States and Canada has come to defend, protect, safeguard the faith, one after another. So this is where the beloved guardian at the close of paragraph 17 comes and says, what other community to its claim of has done, this type of act, this type of deed. So this is what I wanted to end on, and I just put this as a, you'll see as we go through our parts, I infuse a little bit of humor throughout the presentations for you. So this is our last slide. Mr. Osborne, may I be excused? My brain is full. So that will be our last slide. So is there any questions? I know it's right now, it's 8:21. We're a few minutes early today, but if there's any questions or thoughts.
Yes, I do. I have one for you.
Please.
Yeah, because I'm in a kindergarten, you know, when it comes to the faith. So I have a lot of questions to ask you. You know, what I have in my mind is to be God's creation is a process, no beginning and no ending. But Baha'u'llah is using most of the time, when he writes prayer and writings, the divine unity and the oneness of humanity. Is these two phrases are the same? What insight you have?
I honestly didn't follow your question. Dr. Bai, did you catch that, or any one of the other friends?
I didn't follow the question. Perhaps Tesfaye could repeat.
Tesfaye, could you restate your
sure.
question just one more time for everyone?
Okay, one more time. Let me make it shorter. The divine unity and the oneness of humanity, because Baha'u'llah used many times in his prayer and writings. Mm-hmm. Is this the same meaning, or is there any different insights?
Okay, now I understand the question. Dr. Bai, I still let you answer, but I understood the question this time. So.
Okay. What the Baha'i faith has done is to take the model of divine unity and bring it to a human level and ask for the unity of mankind. This is an incredible change from the history where people talked about God and man, and because of God's power and man's weakness, then they took that model and created division amongst mankind, king and the subjects, man and woman, free and slave, and so on. Baha'u'llah completely did away with that setup and said there is a divine unity, and by the same token, that model implies unity of mankind. And that's why we don't have any of those divisions. Thank you.
Excellent question. John,
can I say something?
Please.
Some questions like this have many answers. So my answer is yes, but there's many explanations. This is because unity and justice in Baha'i faith are the biggest topics.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yes. I was thinking the other day, because we should have a very good and solid understanding of what it means to be a Baha'i. As if we, call ourselves a Baha'i, we have to understand what it means to be a Baha'i, and, study and read and learn what it means. And so as I'm evolving my understanding of what it means to be a Baha'i, this is my own one-liner definition of what it means to be a Baha'i. It's an active promoter of the oneness of humanity. So that's my one sentence definition of what it means to be a Baha'i. Active promoter of the oneness of humanity. So you cannot be a passive, that is the opposite, you cannot be passive. You have to be active. And to be a promoter means proclaiming it. And the oneness of humanity is the foundation of what it is the faith stands for. So an active promoter of the oneness of humanity is my definition of what it means to be a Baha'i. Everything else is additional stuff, and it's there. But that's my definition. And so as we go through the advent of divine justice in our upcoming parts, you will start seeing that definition come to light, especially in part 14, part 15. It's paragraphs 51 through 62, which is on racism and the issues of race. You'll see how important the oneness of humanity is in the freedom of racial prejudice. So let me check our time, dear friends. We're at 8:26. We're pretty good today. and on timing. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, in addition, to your talk, may I add some point to what you say, what a Baha'i is?
Please, that's why I'm always happy to hear you. And for
Yeah,
one, I would love to see your face. You're in our community.
From my point of view, since I became Baha'i, it's over 20 years. I know you know me, but the only thing is, I'm always struggling to be a Baha'i. But I got the title Baha'i, but I'm not sure if Baha'u'llah is accepting me, but I accepting him. And it's still going on. Always, when you go to the writing and then see all this ocean of words and then learning day by day and struggling. But it is really a tough thing that you bring now. It's not an easy thing to be Baha'i by itself.
It's true. It's very, very true. It's the most noblest of things to be a Baha'i, but the most challenging and hardest of things. And
exactly.
We're going to see as we get into forthcoming sections on rectitude of conduct, the standard that is expected of us, and how we have to bring ourselves to account, how we have to transform our inner life and external conditions to really, and the reason why is because we have to become that proclaimer of his message. And if we do not do this, the teaching work will come to a stagnation because we're not an acceptable vehicle of his message. We have to work on our inner life and outer life. So as dear Tesfaye said, yes, Bruce, you have a hand, please.
Yeah, I read a definition in a children's book today about what it is to be a Baha'i. And this is for like children who were like 6 and 7 years old. And it said, to be a Baha'i is to become the embodiment of all human virtue.
I love it, Bruce.
That's nice.
I love
it. It was in the children's book.
Right?
Yeah, but they wanted them to
easy.
learn. So I thought.
And that is the station of Abdul Baha. The embodiment of every virtue and Baha'i ideal was Abdul Baha. Embodiment. So to be a Baha'i he was the true Baha'i. He was our exemplar. So we have to work towards being like Abdul Baha. So excellent. That was wonderful, Bruce. So we're at 8:28. If there's any other thoughts, concerns, questions, and dear friends, you have my email. Do not hesitate. I'm going to send you, yes, one document for reading for next week, okay? And I will send you your homework through email, okay? So
and the slides too.
Yes, of course, that's right. I don't forget these things. So I will send you everything and send you the slides, the video of this session, and I have one homework reading for you, and that's it. Oh, and I have one other video. Yeah, it's from Mr. Nakhjavani. It's a pretty cool video I came across, and he gives a talk on America and its destiny. And it's pretty cool. And it just came out. So I'm going to send that to you. It's only about an hour long. Urge you to watch it. He pours his heart out and really focuses a good 40 minutes on the most important duty. And does anyone know what the most important duty is?
Teaching.
I love it, Tesfaye. Ding, 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 ding. You got it right. So 40 minutes of his talk, he pours his heart out. And the one thing that I really found out important in his talk is how important is not only his teaching, obviously we know that, but the destiny of America is not a fixed thing. If we do not teach, we lose that destiny. And that's something that you'll find in his talk. So all the wonderful things that we find out, the great destiny of the American Baha'i community, all the sacrifices that we've learned. If we do not do our part as the descendants of the Dawnbreakers, that destiny is not a set thing. So that's something that I'll share with you so you can hear it in your spare time. Excellent. Without any further ado, lovely to see you, Miss Diana. Beatriz, Tesfaye, all of you guys, really brings great joy to my heart. Let us have a closing prayer. We're at exactly 8:31. So let us have a closing prayer, and then I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
I would like to say a prayer on protection by Ba.
Please, Ms. Saidi.
Glory be to thee, O God. Thou art the God who had existed before all things, who will exist after all things, and will last beyond all things. Thou art the God who knoweth all things, and is supreme over all things. Thou art the God who dealeth mercifully with all things, who judgeth between all things, and whose vision embraceth all things. Thou art God, my Lord. Thou art aware of my position. Thou dost witness my inner and outer being. Grant thy forgiveness unto me and unto the believers who responded on thy call. Be thou my sufficing helper against the mischief of whosoever may desire to inflict sorrow upon me or wish me ill. Verily, thou art the Lord of all created things. Thou dost suffice everyone, while no one can be self-sufficient without thee. The Ba.
Thank you very much, everyone. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Happy